welcoming everybody to another episode of Scurry in the Scrub. It is me, Jordan Scurry, here with my co-host Matt DeMarinas. We are rocking on this Thursday morning. Matt, how you feeling?
Feeling like supercharged, right?
Supercharged. I'm
I
feeling
feel
good too, man.
like
I'm
halfway.
feeling
I'm,
great.
I'm I'm about halfway to like immunity for this COVID stuff,
hmm
so I feel like a superhero right now.
Yeah, man. It's a good time right now. I feel like the weather's getting better. Everyone's
Yeah,
out here trying to get vaccinated, trying to get back on track, especially in the sports world. So it's a
I was
good time. It's a good time.
I was out in the yard playing with a dog yesterday, and I'm like, God, it's getting nice out too. This is like a perfect time to be vaccinated. Let's go. Let's get out here. College World Series like right around the corner. I like hope we can attend it. I'm just like, let's go. I'm excited. So my second shot is April 20th, which is my mom's birthday. So I'm really excited about, just putting all this shit behind me.
All right, it's better now.
Yeah, what happened? You froze for a second.
What just happened?
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
May the
that's a good
4th.
day.
May the 4th is my immunity day. Like
May the
so,
4th. That's a
yeah.
great. It might have to be. You have to do something on that day. I
I
think you're
know.
gonna
I'm
have
trying to
to.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, May the 4th is gonna have an even better meaning for you now going forward. So you're gonna have to make that a day. I don't know what. Maybe we record a pod. Maybe we get on that day.
Yeah,
Maybe
because it's like May the 4th be with you, and it's like it is with me. Yeah, I
you
am
know,
like
it's definitely with you.
I
It's
am a
definitely
full on Jedi right now. Let's go.
plot twist. Plot twist. The vaccination gives you Jedi superpowers. So
Mm-hmm.
you might have the Force. You might have the Force
I know.
after that.
Now I'm trying. I gotta write
Please.
down a list of things like do's and don'ts with the Force. Like, don't do this.
Yeah, like please don't like start Jedi mind reading when on the podcast. At least don't
Is
do that
that
to me.
was that a thing? Could you read minds or could you just like control minds? Was that I
It
can't.
would be it was controlled, but like don't do it. That's what I'm saying. Like don't do that to me. Don't like
Oh, to you? Yeah, I don't think I would.
yeah,
Yeah, you're no. I
because
like.
you'll be like Michael Jordan is the goat, and I'll be like I won't be able to.
Okay, so that might be the one thing I do then. If that's,
Oh no! Oh no!
I'll get
Oh
that out of
no!
the way. I'll probably just Jedi mind trick everybody in
See,
that one real quick because that's just
that
something.
would be your
No, it's kind of like when you learn math, you learn 1+1, and then you go from
yeah.
there. I feel like everybody
Well,
should just know Michael Jordan's the GOAT. That way you can start
well,
off. We're
actually,
all starting
can I
off.
put in can I put in a request of what you actually should use your
Sure, a
Jedi?
slippery slope with requests, but
Just
yeah, I'll
make
take
sure.
yours. Yeah.
Just do a Jedi mind trick so people don't think that transfers are bad. Transfers are not bad. Transfers do not hurt culture.
No,
Transfers are culture. You got to instill that in people.
I almost think it's almost easier to recruit because of transfers,
Yeah.
like, because all these players are like, hey, I'm good at college basketball already. I've proven that, and I kind of want to play somewhere else. So hit me up. As opposed to like high schoolers where you're like, God, do I need to see them in the gym? Do I need to meet? Do I need to like see what they're about? Like, can they translate to? Because with high school, you don't know.
No.
Like, you don't know
Because
if
it's like
they're.
no, you absolutely. I
It's
completely
about
agree
levels,
because
right? Like if some dude's like
there's so many.
dropping 40 on like his neighborhood, is his neighborhood good at basketball or like what? Like how do you know who's like
Yeah.
competition level? I know some guy like players who have been recruited by Creighton at like a young age, who once they started facing stiffer competition on the AAU circuit, like kind of cooled off a little bit, and I was like, oh, all right, so. With transfers, they're already D1 hoopers. Like you already know. You know what I mean?
We could bring this. We could bring this as right to me, honestly. Because why didn't I like say get recruited by a Creighton or schools like that level at a high school like I should have? Because the competition I was playing against wasn't that good, and there's just so many schools like that all over the country that it's like the leagues aren't necessarily that good. Like look at Zion Williamson's high school highlights. Like
Yeah, right.
who is he playing against? He's a specimen. Don't get me wrong, but like who is he playing against? So it's like these are the leagues that it's like, is that really going to translate? Guys like Zion, it's like obviously, but guys like me, it's like, is it going to? Like
Mhm.
coaches just don't know. You can't fault them for that. But at a D1 level, like once you can prove that, like that's a stage to prove it. So
Yeah,
yeah, come on, man.
there are just so many.
That's my only request, just that one.
That's fine. I'll lay it out there. That's for sure. I want to get into that with you today too, because we got to talk about
No, absolutely.
the movements of college basketball and everything.
Absolutely. I've been
But
actually following some of them. I saw even this morning Shavar Reynolds to Monmouth.
that's the other part of it too.
Have you been tracking them? Do you have all of them from the Big
No,
East at least?
I mean, there's so many.
Yeah, there is.
I just
That's
kind
what
of
I was
follow.
saying.
I follow like when they enter and when they leave it, basically. So like Shavar Reynolds is one that I'll mark down because I'm like, okay, he went from Seton Hall. Now I know where he's at, kind of thing. That's the other part of it too. I think I don't understand. There was a whole lot of, first of all, it's our fault in the media, and I'm just gonna lump us in there because we play a part in the conversation, even if we don't necessarily push it this direction. But some in our field decide to just relentlessly carry water from the perspective of the coaches, which is like, yeah, their jobs are a little bit harder, right? Because roster management is more difficult now. Because not only you can't just get a kid on campus and then be like, all right, I pretty much have him under my control until the NBA or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like those days are over. And you see a lot of like we've gotten into these arguments with people is like you see a whole bunch of it's just like very condescending with like what are we doing, this generation, yada yada. You hear all that stuff and you just roll your eyes at it, and none of it is founded in it just feels like dishonest because coaches are just allowed to act a fool. Like they can go do anything they want to do in terms of what's best for them, their family, their careers. And there is no safety net for that. There's no like deterrent, right? If Chris Beard, for example, wants to go from, where did he start? Arkansas Little Rock to Texas Tech to Texas. I mean, that dude's been at 3 places in within the span of since you got to college. Essentially, he's been at 3 places. Like, so why isn't there a deterrent for that? But yeah, we try to create a deterrent for players that want to move freely based on their own happiness, right? Because use Shavar Reynolds as an example. No disrespect to Monmouth, but is Shavar Reynolds is someone leaving Seton Hall to go to Monmouth really like ruining the sport? Shavar Reynolds started at Seton Hall.
Exactly.
He's going to Monmouth. Kobe McEwen started at Marquette. He's going back to Weber State. Are these dudes really like monopolizing the sport into like, power programs, consolidating talent? No, it's just freedom of movement. It's all it is.
You just hit the word.
Yeah.
So I did some research on this, right? And if you go back, there's a really good YouTube clip of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar having a conversation with the NCAA. I don't know if it was Mark Emmert or who it was at the NCAA. And it's good because they talk about like a lot of these people talk about the perspective just of the college athlete, and they were actually talking about like getting paid. So not to go off topic, but whatever. They said like we don't want to we don't want to give these 20 to 22-year-old, 24-year-old, whatever it is, the money because kids they're gonna make mistakes with their money. Like they don't know yet. Like we want to give them this structure so that they can grow to do all that. And it's funny because in the video you see Kareem's response and he goes, well, why? And he goes, and it's like, it's a very simple why, because it's like, you're limiting their freedom, right? Like who are you to decide like that just because they're young? Like we see 40-year-olds and all that and CEOs and all that making same mistakes and ruining their careers, right? Like who are you to decide that these 20-year-olds don't deserve the compensation for what they're doing? And who are you to decide that these 20-year-olds shouldn't have the freedom to move where they want. I think it's the same concept, and we're talking about freedom here. Like it's just the freedom to do like as they please. And I think you're right, just that a lot of people put this hat on of like, I got to be on the coach's side with this because this is the person getting paid to steer the ship, right? But it's like, no, this is now a freedom issue because we're talking about limiting the freedoms of the college athlete, which is wrong.
Why is a really good question to ask sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be elaborate.
Simply, very simply,
mm-hmm.
very simply.
Just like someone states a way of operation. Why? Like, and when you get down and when you start to go through it and understand, or just try to understand the reasoning behind certain things, the why makes less sense as you go into this. You know what I mean? Like, the transferring is not easy for anybody.
No.
Like, think about it. You're moving to a different part of the world that you've probably never been before. You're going to a different school, meeting new people. That's intimidating.
And also, and especially
like, who likes starting from ground zero at that stage in your life when you're trying to
listen, man, like we talked about this before, right? Like we talked about this off. It's been a hell of a year. How can we fault some of these kids for wanting to go home? Like, how can we fault some of these kids for wanting to be close to their families? Like everything that families have gone through in this past year. How can you fault college kids who are like, you know what, maybe made a big decision to go to Nebraska to pursue dreams at a program like a Creighton, but something like a 2020 happens and you're like, I don't know, man, maybe I just want to be closer to home. You know? So I just think it's a weird, I think a lot, yes, I do think a lot of the criticism in the media just is not fair in this year either. Like I think we're not taking it with the grain of salt that was 2020 and how transfers obviously just got like the rule just got passed at like the media eligibility and all that. So I think a lot of the media is not factoring that in. I know it's obviously there, but and like it's understood, but it's still not being factored in as much, I think, as it should.
And the messed up part of it too is the media is so good at like kind of rolling with, like I said, the carrying water aspect of it is so good at rolling straight into just complimenting a coach on a job well done, essentially. That I mean, Seton Hall is an example. Like Seton Hall lost some players, and then the transfer portal filled up with thousands of players, and it became this hot topic. Like, oh my God, what's wrong with college basketball right now? Like all these kids are going somewhere. And when they land somewhere, the same people that said it's a problem are like, wow, this team's reloading. Like this team's going to be good next year. There's not going to be any fall off, no rebuilding year, all this stuff. Like Seton Hall is getting two dudes right now who, if they're allowed to be immediately eligible, will make them like two or three dudes who will make them an NCAA tournament team next year without Mamu and everything. Like forget, like it doesn't even matter. They'll transition straight to being a contender in the Big East again because they brought in ready-made D1 talent, guys with experience at that level, who won't have to sit out a year. You know what I mean? Think about that. Think about when Maurice Watson Jr. and Cole Huff transferred to Creighton. It was right after Doug McDermott's senior year, right? So Doug McDermott, Jahans Manigat, Grant Gibbs, Ethan Rocky, they all leave. They all graduate. And Creighton goes from second in the Big East to a doormat. Why? Because Maurice Watson Jr. and Cole Huff are sitting in the gym, just like on ice for a year. And Creighton goes 14-19 and loses a bunch of close games, like a bunch of like one possession games down the stretch, a ton of them. You're telling me it's not beneficial to a school like Creighton or anybody to just have an ability to bring in D1 transfers to fill some gaps maybe that aren't where your high school recruits aren't ready to play at that level consistently, where you can fill in the blanks with these players that are trying to find different opportunities for whatever reason. It's not like, I'm not saying that all the reasons for transferring are good, but I'm saying something, but that we shouldn't demonize them on the whole. So what does Creighton's season look like in 2014, 2015 if Maurice Watson and Jr. and Cole Huff aren't wasting reps in the gym? That's all they could do was practice. They couldn't travel. They couldn't play in any games. And Creighton went 14-19 and lost a bunch of close games. You telling me that team's not at least in the NIT with those two dudes? What did that year?
And then the next, because the next year,
what about Cole Huff's? What about Cole Huff's knees?
Yeah.
Remember what did a year of wear and tear and just practicing for Cole Huff and not being able to play at all? What did that do for the end of his career when he was struggling to play?
Man,
through injury.
Talk about it. So, but this is where I'm
for no reason.
Right. But where I was getting even, so I was obviously on that same note, right? Of especially because think about how different it would be. Like you're saying, if transfers are now eligible, it's all messed up that it wasn't that way before anyway. But where I was getting pushback on it, right, is people were saying, but that's not, these guys aren't like bringing in any type of culture. They're only seeing it as an opportunity, right? And where I counter that though, is I'm like, how can how can you believe like these coaches, like a Chris Beard or any coach, they're like oh, these coaches have this culture and they've even like a Shaka Smart where they can bring their culture to these different schools and it continues there like through the players, because that's the argument I was hearing. I'm like, who's to say a player can't do the same thing, right? Like who's to say Maurice Watson Jr.'s impact where BU at first and then at Creighton, he didn't have I know he has an outlasting impact on both schools. Like I know he still talks to people. He still worked out with people from BU when we were at Creighton. We worked out with people at BU when we came back on breaks at Creighton. What do you mean? That's not culture. That's culture to me. That's leadership. Like that's still I don't understand why we can't see it through the lens that players can impact these programs from transferring the same way coaches can by leaving a culture where whatever it is. Like I just think it can be the same. So
100%.
I'm just not hearing that.
How do you feel as a player to know you brought in someone who's like immediately the best guy in the gym?
That's what I'm saying.
You telling me that doesn't improve the situation? Call it whatever you want. Call it culture or just like general confidence of what you're doing. But you think the 2014-2015 team doesn't feel like more confident on game day if they've got Maurice Watson Jr. and Cole Huff with them?
Yeah.
As opposed to just
I guarantee you everybody on that
as opposed to just getting their ass kicked by them all week and then trying to go into a game and play Big East teams. What about like Marcus Foster? That was the funny part about covering Creighton through those years was like there was a series of years where you were like, these dudes are the best players in the gym and they can't play. When Maurice Watson was going through his sit-out year, it was like, man, he's the best player in the gym and he's not going to play a minute. When Marcus Foster was going through his sit-out year the following season, when it was 2015-2016 team, it was like Marcus Foster's the best player in the gym right now. He's like dunking on everybody's heads right now.
I remembered that.
And he can't play. You know what I mean? No wonder 16-17 was like a party when you guys played Wisconsin. Because Marcus Foster
was free. They freed Swaggy.
Yeah. Marcus Foster
Swaggy.
Yeah.
That was our whole motto at the beginning. It was like too free. He's free again. Like the same dude that was Kansas State dunking on people. Yeah, he was free again. Like that's how he felt.
Remember the arena when he came down and cashed that first three and then like winded up his arm? It was like he hit a game winner, dude. It was like 30 seconds in.
He was back at it. He was free.
That's what I mean. So why would we want to? What's the point of padding that? Like, why do you make that sit a year? What's the point?
Why?
Now, some guys, you know what I do think? Like, I don't think it's a bad idea to have an option to sit out if you want to, and not lose.
You can redshirt,
not lose.
And I'm sure
take a redshirt year if you transfer. Yeah,
I'm sure you could do that.
Damian Jefferson is a guy who benefited a lot from sitting out because the transition from, like I said in the lead up to this, the transition from going from one place to another was tough for him. Not just from a basketball side of it. From a basketball side of it, he got hurt, so he was in a walking boot.
Yeah.
And he was having trouble, like kind of like getting a good vibe with the team. He wasn't making a lot of friends. Like he was kind of quiet and introverted. So it was like he wasn't really DJ. So that was tough. So I imagine like he benefited a lot from just having that year to transition himself to kind of phase himself into the team a little bit and improve his own game and kind of get his own confidence. And then he hit the ground running. What do you have, like 12 boards and like almost a double his first game after becoming eligible? He wasn't ready to do that like from the jump when he got to Creighton. So yeah, I'm cool with it.
Going out
Guys want to use a redshirt year, and if use it like just like you do with freshmen, bring them in. And if the transition's not going well, have a conversation and let the players decide if they kind of want to sit out and develop. That's fine. If they want to make that decision themselves, but give them the choice.
Give them the
choice.
It's about there.
If they want to come and play right away and they think they can contribute and you think they can help you, what are you stopping them for? Like NCAA, why are you stopping them? What's the point? Like, keep asking yourself why. Why do players sit out a year? Well, it's like, oh, it's a deterrent to stop them from just like moving wherever they want every single year. Why is that a bad thing? Every other student can transfer wherever the hell they want every single year.
And they don't have types of athletics.
If a student transfers from Creighton to UNO, okay, let's say you're an Omaha kid and you transfer from Creighton to UNO, a perfectly normal thing to do. Do you have to sit in the dorm for a year before you can start going to class? Or can you just like start doing your thing? Can you participate in intramural sports, or do you have to sit out and redshirt those two? Like there is no, why are you hindering, why is there a deterrent for that? There shouldn't be. Let them move. Let them go wherever they want. You think that stuff's not going to normalize itself? Like everybody's talking about kind of entitlement, right? Well, if you let a player leave a situation that's tough for them, you won't teach them how to overcome adversity. And I'm like, I don't know, because I feel like they're going through a lot of adversity in general as a student athlete, just because of what your schedules are like on a daily basis. That no matter where they go, they're going to face adversity. So the only way to get out of that adversity holistically is for them to quit playing sports. You know what I mean? That's how they would avoid all that. Because it's not like they can go from one school to the next and it all becomes, it's like going to class and practice and games becomes any different. It's the same thing, just in a different place. So there is no reason, when you start asking yourself why along the way, there is no good reason for a deterrent to be in place for players not to be able to move without being immediately eligible. There just isn't. The logic doesn't make any sense anymore.
It would make more sense too if it would make more sense if the NCAA had good reasoning for, okay, maybe we'll, like, if you like, and I'm just also like, because if you see a player jumping around 3 times, then it's like, okay, maybe just limit that player. But it doesn't need to be, we're limiting all players because we're worried about them jumping around. Like, because
you're right. What is the rule? The new rule that they're going to vote on is a one-time transfer, right? So yeah, that wouldn't even include the guys you're talking about, the players you're talking about. They're the ones that are like, yeah, you know, I
don't think there's any guys that necessarily want to go to 3 like Division I school. Like they don't. You want to go to somewhere where it works. Like no one's set out like thinking I have to go to 3 different. But in the world we live in today, and especially because what college basketball is becoming now is AAU, right? Because it's all like my generation, especially even younger than me. Kids used to, I'm gonna just play on different AAU teams every weekend so I can get more exposure. Mm-hmm. Now I'm gonna play in a couple different conferences and see which exposure works better for me, see which style of play fits better for me. It's become that. But no dude is trying to go to 3 different leagues or anything like that. And if you did see that, and if they did see that, that would stick out and everybody would see that something's going on there, and they could adjust on the fly with that. But why limit all players because you're worried about one very far off thing that might not even happen, that most likely won't happen from.
So there was actually an example of a player jumping around. Like I think he's at his where's he at? His 3rd school, kind of technically. Mm-hmm. So Jariah Horn, he was originally started at Nebraska, okay? And
bad start already.
questionable decision making out of the jump.
I could have told you he was going to be
We're
at
just
schools
we're
already.
just kidding. It's fine. We're just kidding. Let's be serious. So yeah, he goes to Nebraska. Okay, plays 1 year there. It doesn't go well. He admits that he didn't have the best practice habits and whatnot. So you could tell just by reading through everything that his situation was not just unhappiness. Like he wasn't mature enough to play at that level. You know what I mean? So he goes to Tulsa, graduates from Tulsa, and grad transfers to Colorado, where he plays in the NCAA tournament this year, gets to experience all of that. One of the best years Colorado's had in a minute.
This is but this is also very different too.
And then he gets then because of the fact that the NCAA gave a blanket waiver to everybody to have a free year of eligibility if they wanted to come back because of the uncertainty of the season, he got to play one more year of college basketball if he chose to do so. So where's he going? He's going back to Tulsa. But for his own reasons, like he's got unfinished business, he said, at Tulsa. But he already graduated from Tulsa. So like, what does he owe anybody a sit out year anymore? So like, even if you wanted to prohibit players from moving to different schools, multiple different schools, what does he owe anyone that he's been to right now? He went from Nebraska was the only situation he left where you could call it problematic, right? Where it just didn't work out because of things that he did. And not even like problematic is probably the wrong word, but just, he admits that his practice habits weren't great and that his playing time was a result of that. So it's not like he had control over his situation, but whatever he found at Tulsa, he settled in pretty well because he played 3 years there, got his degree. At that point, you're a grown-ass human being.
That's what I'm saying.
Let him go wherever the hell he wants.
And this is what I was going to say, though, but this is what changes what you just said. Think about it. He graduated. He deserves that. He earned that. Like the same way when you graduate from like schools, you can get certain like scholarships for grad school. Why can't basketball reward dudes for graduating the same thing? Like, and that you want to talk about loyalty to a program, graduate from any program, you should be able to go and play wherever you want. Like he went to Colorado, you're saying?
Yeah.
The year immediately after he graduated Tulsa. Good. He deserves that. And he also deserves to go back to Tulsa because he graduated and then completed another year.
Look at Jet Canfield at Creighton. He got his degree in 3 years, and he's a grad transfer with now because of the COVID eligibility year. He's a grad transfer with like 3 years of eligibility because he redshirted his first year at Creighton. So he has 3 years left because he's getting his sophomore year back, and he goes sophomore, junior, senior. But he's got a college degree in hand. So if some college wants to take a chance on him right now and give him a more impactful role on the court itself and let him play in games and let him hoop when the lights are on, why should Jet have to sit out and wait for that opportunity? He's ready. He's got a college degree in his pocket.
And he's got
what does he owe anybody?
No reason. He's
a grown adult. He's a human being. He's a grown man right now. Let him go.
He can go get a job. So why can't he go?
Yeah.
If he can go get a real life job, why can't he go play? Like, think about that. Like, just weigh those two things hand in hand and try to logically tell me that.
I have a more extreme analogy. We send 18-year-olds off to fight our wars, don't we?
I mean, yeah, that's a whole different. We can if you really want to do that one.
If we really want to get into the weeds of the why, like I said, if you keep asking yourself why, the more you ask yourself why, the less it makes sense. We send the 18-year-olds off to fight wars, but we won't let them hoop if they want to. We have to make them sit out and just understand that you moved and you didn't work, so you got to like have a punishment.
Yeah.
What is that year? What is that year?
It's a year to grow, Matt. It's a year to really like find yourself in the middle of Omaha, Nebraska, and just sit out for a year. You gotta mature. It's like a 22-year-old transfer. You're asking him to mature. Like, no, he just wants to hoop, bro.
Yeah,
he just want to hoop.
Yeah. And you think that's what I mean. If all these like media members getting ahead of their skis here by talking about, by parroting what the coaches are saying in terms of the problem it's going to create in the sport. these coaches want these kids eligible. Like at the end of the day, if it sounds bad when they think about it just in general, like, oh my God, I could lose players and every year and I'll have to like re-recruit a whole roster. That sucks. Yeah,
Holds
that
them
does
more
suck.
accountable.
That does suck a
Holds them
little
more
bit.
accountable though.
That does suck
Holds
a
them
little
way
bit.
more accountable.
But it also, yes, it also makes you have to have a genuine relationship, not just from high school to college, but through those years as well. You also make millions of dollars to build a roster, so stop it. And then three, that you're only talking about it from the perspective of if you lose players. But if you bring players in who you think are really good, you don't want them sitting. How many this whole thing was born out of coaches trying to get random ass waivers for just whatever reason.
And I also really do think it helps culture to keep circulating guys to come into a program that are just more grateful. Like, because me as a 4-year guy, I'm gonna tell you, there were times where I'm like, yeah, not that I ever got ungrateful per se, but it gets monotonous. It gets the same thing year after year. It's nice when new guys come in and shed light on and are like, man, I'm so grateful for this facility every year, right? Like I'm hearing that from guys who are transferring in, and that's what makes like me be like, wow, like it's like a breath of
good. Yeah.
I have it pretty good. So it's a breath of fresh air every year. So like I don't think people understand that aspect to the transfer too, right? Like I'm seeing dudes come in, whether it was Maurice and them like explaining how much better Creighton was than their former situations, or seeing Dame come in, Denzel come in, and them being like, man, so happy we got 24-hour access to the gym and stuff like that. It's like things that I could get caught up just taking for granted. I don't, because I have these guys coming in. And so I don't think people realize that either. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
So like, and that's good just for coaches. Coaches, year after year, you're bringing in more guys that just appreciate the program and aren't just stuck in like just been in it, you know? And there is value to guys who have been in it, like a me or like a Mitch, but there's also just, you need that. There's a balance to it. And I don't think this throws that balance out of whack.
I don't either.
I don't.
Do you think you're gonna
I think that's the core of why people are getting mad, because they're like, oh, we're just gonna have more transfers and less stay guys. No, you're gonna have the Jordan Scurrys, you're gonna have the Mitch Ballock still. Like, I don't think it eliminates that. You're still gonna have these guys, but you're also just gonna have some studs that have jumped around because they needed to find a better opportunity for themselves.
Yeah.
It's just going to be more of that.
It's gonna,
like, but the balance will still exist. Do not think that balance is dying. Like it will still very much exist, and this doesn't hurt it.
No, and it also makes winning easier because you're going to be able to fill talent gaps quicker without having to develop as much. It just makes your job. At the end of the day, it's going to make the job easier because every single year you're going to have a wider net to recruit impact players too. Like you don't have to worry about what happens when I get a freshman on campus. Like, how's that? Is that guy going to be ready when we really get down into it, or are we going to have to? Because sometimes freshmen redshirt too, because they're not ready. You have that to a lesser degree with transfers because they're already D1 hoopers. They are like,
and you can still think of I'm spitballing here now, but think of it even like a Kentucky this year. They would have benefited from having more transfers and could have let some of those freshmen redshirt and develop.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that got injured, right? And you can still – did the rule to redshirt freshmen, did that go away with this new transfer thing? No. So you can still do that. Toby Hegners are still going to exist. Like, don't think that these kind of players aren't going to exist just because it's transfer rule.
Agreed.
Like,
it's
dead.
And
I'm hearing, and this is where I'm also hearing a lot of criticism too, where people are like, and I get it too, right? Like the allegiance of like to college basketball, people are like, oh, the programs aren't going to be what they were like. So the transfer thing is bad for college basketball. And I'm not, and to what people are saying, that I'm not going to disagree with it because it's not going to make the college basketball, I think, like the normal teams like as fun to root for, because it's not going to be that as much. But I think it makes college basketball, like the actual games as a product, way better, because you're going to have dudes comfortable and in positions that they've like you're going to have guys who have experienced more, right? So it's like guys who found out like something like a Nebraska that didn't work for them, like in a place where maybe you didn't have the best habits, but you learned from that and then you went somewhere and we're able to then understand, oh, this is what I need to be comfortable. This is how I get my game going. Like, these are the kind of guys that I need to play around that complement my game. You have guys figuring that stuff out for themselves because they have this freedom to change programs and do that for themselves. So you have people figuring out. So I think that actually makes a better product for the game. Like, I think that's better. It's going to be better basketball. It will be better basketball all across the map. It might not be your favorite program might not be as fun to root for because you don't have the same guys for as long, but I still think it's going to result in better games being played.
Well, I laugh at that. I laugh at that part too, because they only like rooting for the guys as long as the guys want to be in those jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if someone leaves, then they're like, "Oh man, you're a traitor. Why are you leaving? What the hell's wrong with you?" Like, you hear all.
But that's gonna.
So
but I don't mind that though, because I don't mind that though, because now it forces these people who are these casual fans, whatever that you're speaking of, it forces them to look at these athletes like real people instead of just somebody who puts on their team's jersey. Look at them like real people.
Come on, like, let's look at a Christian Bishop, for example. I want to get into like his what we think of him leaving in the first place, but first of all, like, does him leaving before his eligibility at Creighton is over with change any of the impact he had on anybody? No. like think about every picture he's taken with a kid at a pink out game or any game, or any autograph he signed or anything. He's like, when the kids come in the gym after practice and like, he like lifts them up to dunk or like help rebounds for them shooting. Does that impact just like completely go away because he left eventually?
Because he's just wants to do better for himself.
Those memories are still there.
The ways he grew, the ways he grew as a person in Omaha just don't matter anymore because he's not going to be a part of the program, and like he's not going to graduate at Creighton. Or come on now, that's silly. That's silly.
You can still cherish those memories and root for him to be successful because of the time he gave you somewhere else, because it's going to happen eventually, right? He's going to leave Creighton eventually. He's not there. These aren't professional contracts players are signing. They're 1 year contracts.
Just as simply as put, in what way was the relationship between, I'll even just say, all of Omaha and Christian Bishop not mutually beneficial? How is it not?
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
Correct.
How is it not mutual?
There is no answer.
It was.
Yeah, right.
Every through and through. I know him, one of my better friends, man. You know it. Like, that was, he gave of himself to that whole program the whole time he was there. He gave of himself, and look at what it did for him. Like, he just gave and gave and gave himself, and now it put him in he has an amazing opportunity for himself. And honestly, the people of Omaha should be happy, because that's what I'm saying. Like, it went hand in hand. Like, he did what he did for the university and the basketball program, and it ended up like, this is what it's done for him, and I'm happy for him, and I'm proud of him, and I'm just like, people in Omaha should be celebrating this more. They should be critical of it. They should be very much celebrating. If you're actually a fan, you would be celebrating this more than you'd be like, oh,
look what he did.
Anything. Exactly.
I mean, because of the, I guess if you want to, there just isn't anything to condemn him for, even in the aftermath of him leaving, because he sacrificed, his own personal goal for what the team needed, because he played the five, a position he never played before, undersized in the Big East, molded his body to suit that so he could bang and still move, right? And he's the reason that, like, he's one of the main reasons that you guys won a Big East regular season title. One of the main reasons you still were contending for it the following year. He's the reason you guys beat UCSB in the first round. Yeah. Otherwise, that run doesn't even get off the ground.
Wait, not to decide. I gotta interject though, because I did. So when he left, I posted how I was happy for him on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And I had somebody have the audacity to hit in my mentions that this was not, I'm not even gonna name names, but somebody had the audacity to get in my mentions talking about not a good idea for him. And I was like, nah, it is. And I was like, nah, it is. And he was like, homie can't shoot. I was like, I didn't even respond. I actually laughed to it because I'm not, and I still am not going to respond. But he hit the two biggest free throws probably in the NCAA tournament still. So I don't think I need to respond to that one. I don't think I need to. I think that one goes without saying. I'm glad we could talk about it here. So yeah, a lot of
That's the thing. Yeah, because I think I get that a lot when people think it's just like not you know, even when even when Denzel of all people just you know, it wasn't any surprise that he didn't take his extra year, because what is that going to be for him? That's year 6, right? He already sat out. So this was his 5th year of college basketball. So was it any surprise that he said he's going to declare for the NBA draft and like actually be a professional basketball player now? Yeah, I hope it wasn't a surprise, because you didn't think he was coming back for year 6, right? Because that's a lot of years in college. Yeah,
that is a little too much,
especially when he already tested the waters of professional basketball last
year.
Like that's usually you don't get 2 years out of people who do that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So
very, very true.
Correct. Yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, you know, why do we have to kick players when they're on their way out? So like the person in your mentions when Christian left, oh, not a good idea. He can't shoot. He needs to just come back to Creighton and be, you know, a ball screen and dunker guy. It's like, hold up.
That's gonna help him shoot, bro. That's really gonna help him shoot.
For real. That's gonna make that'll make the situation better. And then Denzel, like, you know, a former radio host from here, like, decided to say, like, oh yeah, you know, this is good.
I saw that
he's leaving because, you know, his I guess like to dress it up a little bit, his shot selection hurt Creighton this year. And it's like, can we just be happy for people? Like, players, coaches, can we just be happy for people? Is it okay to just be like,
Clearly
man, thanks Denzel for all the buckets you got at CU, helping them win, helping them make history. Like, Denzel's 2 years of eligibility, Creighton made history in both seasons. You really think he made them worse? Like, what do we? You can, like, yeah. Is he
talking about?
Did he have some bad shooting games? Fine. Like, I'm sorry that he didn't like go 60% from 3 every single time out on the floor. That's too bad. Like, it happens. I mean, what are we criticizing here? Denzel had 2 years at Creighton. They won a Big East title. I went to a Sweet 16 in the second. Do you really think he made the team worse? Those things have never happened. 2 things, like 2 firsts, cross off the list. 2 for 2 seasons. Like, don't kick that man when he's down. Why would he come back for a 6th year? What the hell for?
I just think
Christian shouldn't leave. He can't shoot. How do you know he can't shoot? He's never been allowed to shoot.
Yeah, I've seen him. He can shoot, man. He can actually shoot.
I mean, like,
I've seen him. I saw him for years.
Isn't it his right to go and find out if a coach wants to at least let him try it? And it's not like Creighton wouldn't let him try it. It's like, but they felt like that if they look at their roster,
simply put, if Creighton was going to let him shoot, they would have been letting him shoot. If there was a role for him to start,
right? He was the best. He was the best player on the roster to do what he did. So that's why Creighton needed him to do that, because no one else would have been able to. If he wanted to go play like Mitch's position and was flat out against playing the 5, you know what Creighton would have done? Benched him. Right? If Christian Bishop did not want to play the 5, think about that. If he didn't want to play the 5, he wouldn't have played, because they would have said, no, we know you're not a better shooter than Mitch or DJ or whatever. So if you're not going to do this, you're not going to play. So Christian's like, in his mind, maybe he's like, okay, well, maybe I should just go look around at the 350 other schools in the country and see if anyone's like, yeah, we'll let you play this position because we have other guys who can do what you've already done. What's the harm in that inherently?
I don't see any.
Listen, can he fail? Well, is it possible that he fails? Yes. But is it possible? Whose
choice should that be to make?
Right. Is it possible that his NBA aspirations don't increase with this move? Is it possible? Yes. But why shouldn't he take the chance? Like, why should he not be allowed to take the chance? If let's just throw out like he's, you know, wherever he's getting out. Let's just say Missouri, his home state school. Let's just say Missouri is like, hey, we've got like big bodied post players. Like we've got dudes who can handle all the banging around in the post and rebounding and rim protection and ball screen stuff. We've got dudes.
All that dirty work you had to do.
If you want to come and like compete at, the 3 or the 4 and handle the ball more and have the freedom to shoot more because we've got enough guys who can do the other stuff. Yeah, come on board. Like, why shouldn't he be allowed to test that out? You know what I mean? I just don't see the harm in it. It doesn't even matter. Like, if he fails at it, it's irrelevant to me. That's irrelevant. Like, he should not be prohibited from trying. And it's not, and again, it doesn't go back to saying that Creighton wasn't going to let him try it. It's just that Creighton needed him to do the other stuff too. Otherwise, they would be bad. They wouldn't win the Big East title or go to a Sweet 16 without all those rebounds, without all that rim protection, without all those ball screens. Christian was the best at it, so that's why he did it. But Creighton has no one else to do that but him. So he knows that in his mind that, yeah, even if I were allowed to this summer to just let it fly and compete for a spot at the 4, I would still need to do all the stuff at the 5 that I don't really want to do anymore. So why should he not be allowed to do it? To just go somewhere else, see if another school is open to not having him play as many minutes at the 5 and see what it's about. Because if honestly, to his only path to the NBA right now is to prove that he can do that, correct? Am I wrong in that? He has to prove. He has to prove.
No, you're right.
Shoot.
It's about.
He has to prove he can shoot at this level before he goes to the NBA. Correct.
Correct. And it's just about.
So it's just a risk.
You're right.
Like, let him try.
You're exactly, because he has to prove he can do all the things that he wasn't doing at Creighton, but he can't necessarily do them at Creighton. So he should be able to explore because he needs that to be able to get to the next level that he wants to be at.
Agreed. I just don't. Yeah, I think the part of like whether it's the right decision for him is
solely.
I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to like. I'm not saying you're wrong if you have that opinion, but yeah, he makes Creighton really good because he's really good at being a versatile 5-man who can take bigger post players off the dribble, put them in ball screens, put them in the blender, make things tough for he's really good at all that, and he raises Creighton's ceiling because he can do that at his size. But if Christian plays in the NBA, what position is Christian Bishop in the National Basketball Association? Exactly. Yeah. Like he's not playing. He's not a 4. He's not a rim protector.
He's not setting pick and rolls and going get lobs as he was at Creighton. He's not doing that in the NBA.
Right.
And so he needs to go. He wants to go to a program where he can do what he would do in the NBA because that's what they want to see. That's what an NBA scout is going to want to see. They're going to say, "What are you going to do in the NBA?" Not what he was doing at Creighton. So it wasn't going to be that. So
yeah, the fit applies here because does Christian Bishop fit at Creighton? Yeah, in a certain role. And will he raise Creighton's ceiling in that role? Yes. But is that the role he's going to play at the next level if he wants to be an NBA player? No. Is he an NBA player? I don't know. I don't know that. There's lots of guys in the NBA. There's lots of guys in the NBA right now that I can't believe are still in the NBA. So I don't know if Christian Bishop's an NBA player or not.
Talk about it.
He only has to impress one front office for crying out loud. So it's not like he has to be a surefire guy. One GM has to be like, yeah, I like what that dude can do, and he's got a job. That's all it takes. So I had the same conversation with Tyshawn Alexander about Tyshawn Alexander. People were like, "Oh, he doesn't have a position in the NBA. Like he's a tweener. He only had one really good year in college. Like what? This is a mistake. He should come back for his senior year." Like. I'm like, he doesn't have to impress 30 teams. He has to impress one. That's it. One team has to like him. He didn't even get drafted and he's still in the league right now. Think about that part. This isn't what you used to think it is. Like you don't have to get drafted to get a job. Tyshawn didn't get drafted, but he signed
neither did Marcus Howard.
Yeah, he signed a 2. Yeah, Marcus Howard was all over the highlight reels last night.
Yep, snatching souls.
Yeah, and he didn't get drafted.
Nope.
Like, it's not about that anymore. You just have to impress one GM in the whole league. That's all it
Or a
takes
few,
for you to get
you
a job.
or a few, and then wait to see how a season plays out because teams are going to be bad.
Yeah.
Guys are going to get injured.
Yeah.
Dudes are going to get cut, waived. Teams aren't going to underperform. There's the G League is popping now. Like,
right. So yeah, I don't
there's
know if Christian Bishop's an NBA player. I don't. If I can't sit here and say, yeah, all he has to do is go somewhere that'll let him shoot and then he'll be in the NBA. I can't say that because I don't know A, what he's going to shoot, and B, where he's going to go, and see if Scots are going to like it.
Yeah.
But I know that he has a goal to be a more versatile player. And if he doesn't think that he's going to get that opportunity at Creighton, why should he have to sit out a year to prove he can do that somewhere else? Why?
You should.
I know.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's like, I know we're just talking back and forth at each other in agreement, but I don't think this is a bad move for Christian. I just think it might be one that he doesn't think later on down the road he should have done. He probably, if like take Davion's situation, right? Like, I don't think he had fun losing at Kentucky this year, but he doesn't get to find that out beforehand. He has to just take the risk and find out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I'm sure he enjoyed, being the primary ball handler and getting a chance to kind of run the offense and be the guy at Kentucky. I don't. So like he in some regard, I'm sure he got some of the things he was looking for when he went there. But I'm sure he hated the losing part of it. Like, he's a competitor. Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Like, but does Definitely. That mean but if you asked him right now, like, would he trade any of that? I don't know what his answer would be because I just don't know. Because he wanted to go, he wanted to prove he was an NBA player, right? That's why he went to get evaluated, and that's why he came back, and that's why he didn't come back off the injury, because he knew it was his last chance to prove he could play up to that level, and he didn't want to do it at less than 100%. So, is he going to regret that? I don't know, but
I don't think so.
Because is he going to regret it because they lost? Because they didn't make the NCAA tournament and they lost, and like, I don't know. And he didn't shoot well. I don't know. Because I think he'll just take that as an experience. Like, he took a shot on himself. You know what I mean? He just did. He went to like Kentucky offered him a chance to be the guy on an inexperienced squad, and he did that. And if they fell short of the NCAA tournament and he didn't perform like he wanted to, that's just kind of comes with the aftermath of it all, because you don't know that going in. You don't know, oh man, I'm going to Kentucky, I'm going to shoot 45% from three, be all SEC, and we're going to be in the Final Four. Like, I'm sure you're thinking all that when you go there because it's Kentucky, but does he regret it because of the way it turned out? I don't think you can say that, because his situation is different. You know what I mean? He took a chance on himself, and even if he's not going to make an NBA team this summer, I don't, like, he would have been able to find that out only one way, right? And that's by going. Same with Christian. Like, that's what I mean. Is Christian an NBA player? I don't know. Like I said, there's guys in the NBA right now who I watch every night in the NBA. I go, how do you have a job? Like, I see that. I go, why are you getting paid to do this for a living? Like, why are you are bad at basketball? I've been a Bulls fan for, since pre-MJ days. Yeah. So I've seen 2 decades of players who I'm like, how did you get this job? Who do you know? Who did you talk to? Like, how are you getting paid to do that?
Like you said, it might be that one that one GM analogy might come back to bite you, because it might just be a good relationship with one GM or owner, exec. It might just be, or coach, something like that.
Right.
That might.
So do I think Christian is an NBA player right now? I don't know. Like, if you put a gun in my head and made me choose one, I would say no. But I also think if he goes next year to some school and, proves that he can shoot 36 or 37% from three, I think an NBA team is going to say, oh man, that's someone we can use. Like, I think someone will find a role for that.
Definitely.
A 6'7" guy who can play multiple positions.
Defend, All positions.
Defend multiple positions, 1 through 5, basically. If he proves that he can do that, if he can handle the ball, be a low turnover guy, and step out and shoot threes, I think a few front offices will take that guy. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, look at Anthony Tolliver. Anthony Tolliver's on Creighton's wall right now, right?
Yep.
That dude couldn't shoot a lick in college, and he was a sharpshooter in the NBA.
Yeah.
So that's not something that can't be learned along the way at this stage in life. So yeah, is Christian Bishop the guy? Are you calling Christian Bishop a 3-point marksman right now? No, he hasn't shot but like 5 threes his whole career. But I know he stepped into one at KU and buried it like it was nothing. So I'm like, well, I know he's proven he can at least hit one. So I'm not going to say he can't hit 80 in a season. I'm just not going to say it because I don't know what kind of work. I know his work ethic, and I know, and I have an example of what work ethic can bring you. At Creighton, Anthony Tolliver left Creighton as a non-shooter and turned himself into one to parlay into an NBA, a 10-year NBA plus career. So it can happen. Let's not just like, if we're analyzing who Christian Bishop as a player is now, don't say that's who Christian Bishop as a player always will be. Sure. So yeah, like let him go. Let him, if he doesn't think it fits anymore at Creighton, that's what it's always about, right? Fit. Right? Why didn't you go play somewhere else? Why did you ride it out at CU?
I was in the right fit.
Yeah, you kept telling me. I've asked you this every single year, right? Like, why are you not? Why are you not like at some Summit League school or something like that, like getting 15 a game or something like that? You're like, because I like it at Creighton. It just fits what I want. There's more pros than cons, right? You kept saying that over and over again.
Always.
So it's just about the fit. Always. Like if you are happy at a place, you're not going to go anywhere else. So
I just like
found at some point Christian got to a point where he's like, look, it's not all bad at CU. And that's the other thing about this. It's not an absolute. When someone leaves, it's not like they hate it there. You know what I mean? Christian didn't hate it at Creighton. It's just like there's something out there he feels for him. Let him go find out if it's there. Let him go take a chance. Where else is he? When else is he gonna do it? He only has life is shorter than you think, people. Especially as a college basketball player. Let him go try. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to say he's making a mistake because you don't know if he's making a mistake until it's over with. And then if you want to hit him up in the mentions and say, I told you so, if that gives you personal satisfaction to say, I knew you would fail and you failed, fine, have at it. Yeah. But don't say he's going to fail before he even gets a shot at it. Because what are you saying right now? You just sound like a fool. Because you don't know if you're right. Exactly. You're just talking shit. So let him forget all that. Thank him for the years that you got to watch him play for your favorite team. Thank him for all the autographs and time he spent with your children, and wish him well.
Wish him well.
And that's the end of it. Let that be the end of it.
Wish him well. Yep.
That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say on that. I don't know if he's
a
3-point shooter in college. I don't know, but I'm curious to find out.
But just he deserves the opportunity and the freedom to make the decision to bet on himself and double down. So let him rock. Thank him and let him rock.
If you're not going to bet on yourself, you shouldn't bet on anybody else. Let's just be real about that.
No.
He's put in a lot of work. Like when he got to Creighton, he wasn't ready to play the 5. No. And look what he turned into.
He put on, man. Christian got jacked at his time at Creighton. So I don't want to hear nothing from anybody. Yeah. He was and like you said, his work ethic, he was dedicated to it, man. He was 100%. Dedicated to being able to compete with the Martins and bang down low with the like even in that Missouri scrimmage we had, I think back to a year ago, was like huge for him because that was the first time we had really seen him bang. Like before the season, my senior year, he was really like out there banging, and it was like, man, he came a long way because like his shoulders were finally like built to actually bang down there. Yeah. So you know what? Like proud of his progression at Creighton, and I do wish him well wherever he ends up and wherever he goes. I'm gonna be a fan. I'm a Christian Bishop fan.
And if the highs are over, then he got to win a Big East title and clutch ass free throws in the NCAA tournament. Exactly. He made one shining moment, like he had, pumping his chest. He got Creighton to a Sweet 16 by averaging a double in the first 2
Man,
games.
We got to talk about.
There's plenty of memories to appreciate. Like he's not gonna look back on his Creighton years with regret. He balled out.
He did. Shout out CV, man.
Yeah.
But hey, speaking of one shining moment though, I did think it was a little whack this year, only because
Well, you were tired.
Not having
watched it.
I was. I can't even lie. I was upset because I should have been in one shining moment. So I was emotional because I would have definitely been in. I would have gone crazy on the bench last year
Yeah.
and been in one shining moment. But that was the thing I was just to say. It was very disheartening without fans. I think I like one shining moment with fans. It's more. I don't know. It was a little bit more eerie to me this year because I was like, oh, it looks like these are just like bubble highlights.
The close-ups were weird, weren't they? Like they were
very weird.
They were much closer to players, like because they realized the shots in the background aren't great anymore because there's not like a crowd weird. Reacting to it. Yeah.
It was a lot of like diving on, like obviously Ryan had Kalkbrenner diving on the floor and whatnot, but I was like, yeah, there was a little too much of that, like because like it's when you balance out like the tenacity and then like someone pointing to the fans and like beating their chest, looking. I think that's another part of it too. It's like when players look into the stands and see their people like and it's in the atmosphere of like an NCAA tournament, that's a one shining moment feeling. You feel that. It was just
go back.
It was an AAU tournament highlight.
When we're done here, go back and watch the end of your guys' game against Seton Hall and listen to the CU. Listen to those chants when Sharif is dribbling the clock out. Just you'll get I think you'll tear up because you're
stop. Like, no, I do tear up. Do you not see me tweet this? Like all last year I was like I would cry like at least once a week when I would bring that video up because somebody in my Twitter would retweet it and I was like tagged on a bunch of them. And so I would see it and it would be like, just in case you needed this today. I'm like, yeah, I need it every day, but I can't have it. So like, I don't know why you guys keep retweeting this and I have to see it and suffer through it. I was like, I was there. It was a great day. I loved it. But like, we're all shut down now. I don't like, it was terrible. Like so I don't know. It's bittersweet. Because I watched it a lot during the lockdown of the pandemic. So
it's almost like nostalgia because you're like, man, those are the good old days. Are we gonna have those days again?
No.
Like, it's sad to think about.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, the first time you're back at a Creighton game, like a big one at the CHI, and like the crowd is just going nuts, like you might lose it.
Oh, I can't wait.
Like, God, I miss this so much. Like some of that might be the alcohol talking, but I bet you'll shed a tear or two.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. It'll be the first time I'm like I can actually like have a drink in the Chi-Hell Center.
That's
like,
true. That's true.
I've never gone there for a game and like been able to just like sit through it. So it will be exciting.
Yeah, you're about to be at your second part of your Creighton life now because all you're taking with you into this next phase is the alcohol.
Wait, what?
Well, like Creighton fans are known for like, throwing them back. That's what
of course
Jesuits are known for. Yeah, it's like Lav pretty much like calls Creighton fans alcoholics every time. Like, yeah, it's a common thing. So like the only thing you got to worry about now as a fan going forward is just the alcohol portion of it, as opposed to like scouting reports and all that type of stuff and like how your general like you just get to go back and grab a beer. Get your wristband,
I get this way
wristband, and like that's all you can just go nuts.
I feel that's true though, but it's more true for me with sports, not basketball. Because basketball, if I go to games like and I'm there and I'm in the setting, I don't like drinking too much because I want to still be like locked into the game, and I feel you'll
get over that.
Creighton, I'll feel no. I still do it. I do it even at home.
Like what Creighton does to you, like it naturally attracts you to the closest alcoholic beverage.
True. And I'm
gonna go in that arena.
You know what it is though?
You'll get there like half an hour early, and you'll kind of like look around, and you'll absorb it. You're like, I need some. I'm gonna go get a beer.
Yeah. You know what it is though?
It'll happen naturally.
You're right. I'm trying to act all mature and shit here, but like it's because it's only and the only reason I'm like trying to say this is I think I haven't like been around obviously groups of people to drink in so long because it's like at games obviously I'm forgetting I'm gonna know everyone there and it's gonna be all my people and I'm gonna be like, oh, let's get a beer, let's get a drink, and it's gonna turn into like 10 of those. So
yes,
I'm forgetting. I'm sorry, man, you gotta cut me some slack. I forget what crowds are like.
That's what I know. That's what I'm saying. It'll eventually.
I forget what that feels like being around like a bunch of people and like the adrenaline and like being like, yo, let's have a beer.
Toby Hegner got a beer, like Toby Hegner got a beer, like he was known for that. Beer and Creighton is synonymous. It just is like because it happened one time and like that's what everybody's favorite moment for Toby's whole career. It wasn't even about anything he
Oh,
did. It was
yeah.
like, remember that one time you got a beer poured on your head? Like,
Oh, he was dramatic with it though. I crack on him all the time because I was like, dude, you really had to like, because if you watch the video, like he lets it pour on his head and then he like slowly like lets it like drain out because he's like milking it. He smelled through his beer and he wanted to milk it.
well,
He was like,
that's what I mean.
he knew
That's
because he was
like,
on the jumbotron. Now it's a synonymous moment
he was
because
just embracing all aspects of Creighton. He was wearing the
Mhm.
jersey, playing the game, and then along comes the beer. Like that's it. Just
T-shirt Toby.
yeah.
That's why I wore a T-shirt for the rest of his career. You know that, right? Because he was afraid of getting beer spilled on him. That's what it
Right.
was.
That's what I mean. Like, you know,
That's
there's
just
a
not
reason.
true.
There's
I
a
just
reason
made that
Lav
up.
always talks about. The reason
I
like
just
Creighton
made that
that
up.
Lav loves Creighton is because like I have a picture of this dude sitting like in just like a pile of kegs for dollar beer night. Like, and they try to call it dollar beverage night too. And what does everybody call it? Because it's just like that's what Creighton does.
Yeah.
Like, they watch
No,
who they watch.
you're going for a beer.
Yeah.
Dollar beverage. What
We're all
beverage?
a bunch of Catholics. All we do is fish fries. In the wintertime, it's all a bunch of fish fries, but we only go to the fish fries for the beer. So it's just what we do.
Exactly.
So yeah, like when you come back to Omaha for a game, yeah,
Can you believe
like that's the only
it's
part of it
been a
that's left
full
to me.
year and I have not a full year since graduating and I haven't even been back to a Creighton game. Obviously couldn't, but
Yeah, but yeah, it's probably one of the
wild.
that's wild, especially since you stayed in the States,
Especially
and
it's me who's been talking about all the games. So I'm like, wow.
we'll change that though.
We'll see how this one goes. Can't wait for my first Creighton game.
Get our
Can't
shots and we're back in the gym. I'm like, they're gonna need. I told I was like, they're gonna need. I told Creighton, I was like, you're gonna need a restraining order to keep me away after I get this second shot. Like seriously.
Yeah, I know. Aren't you hyped? I can't believe I really did not know. I forget what podcast it was that we talked about this, but I really forgot how you just weren't going to practices because that's how much it was ingrained in my mind that I was like, oh no, Matt's at all the practices, off-season workouts, all that. Like that's just where he is. That just goes without saying.
No.
And then I just completely, because obviously not being there, dealing with own stuff, I'm like, I couldn't believe like the pandemic limited that much. So I'm happy for you. I can't wait to get back to that type of normalcy at least. And I know the guys will appreciate it too.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm already looking forward to a Scurry in the Scrub like remote podcast. Like
we'll have to. We're gonna have some good ones out there, man. Once I get out there, because I still have to go out to take my graduation picture with Mac, man. And
you do. That's right.
Yeah. So I'll schedule that, and once we get out there, we can get a little episode going out there. We'll have fun.
And do you get like you have to get your Biggie? Did you get your Big East championship ring yet?
Yeah.
Let me see it. Show that off for the people.
This one right here.
Ooh.
Oh. This is the one, baby.
Hold that right up to the camera. Look at that thing.
See it.
Oh, look at that. Oh, you got the 12 on it too.
Got Scurry on there. Big East.
Let me see the front. Yeah. Oh, that's gross. I love it.
And it's huge.
Yes, sir. Look at that. That's harder than work.
Just for comparison for the people, we'll throw out the freshman year, 25 win season, right? Just in comparison, look at the size difference here, people.
Ooh.
Like this is a ring.
Yeah, that's like a. Yeah, you should like wear that to every restaurant you go to from now on. See if they like anybody finds you and gives you a free. That's the other thing about Creighton is like there's fans everywhere. So if they see that, like, oh,
nowhere.
Scurry, you want to? Oh, let me buy your drink, man. Like that's
nowhere.
That's the other thing you got to do now. You got to start capitalizing.
So cool. It's true. This is true because the first time that actually happened to me was not to sidetrack here, but my brother, who's now he actually goes to college in Canada online for now, but he started at University of San Francisco for a semester, and when I went out there to help him move in that summer, so it was late August. It was right when we got back from Australia. I went to help him move in. And we were going after we all moved in all this stuff. We went just to downtown San Francisco, grab some burgers. And there was a dude in the restaurant and gave me a roll of J's on my way in because I had the J's hoodie on. Yeah. He gave me a roll of J's. And I was like, okay, roll of J's all the way out in San Francisco. Look at San Francisco. So,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, you put that ring,
family rolls deep.
Yeah, just put that ring on and it's like a wristband for everywhere. You just get a free drink.
This thing is crazy, man. Like,
That's nuts. You're like one of those old heads too, like later in life when you're like
Yeah,
all
I
like
can't wait.
wrinkled skin and like everything like that, just wearing that ring around the grandchildren, be like,
I-
what's that?
Yeah, no, and the stories, you know how it goes. The stories get more and more dramatic. Oh, and be like, oh, this is my Final Four
Yeah.
ring.
Yeah.
You know, because my senior year, we should have went to the Final Four, so they gave us this because they felt bad. They got us bigger rings because they
Uh-huh.
knew we were going to be in the Final Four. And it's just every year it gets more. This is my national championship ring from the year that COVID. I was a national champion though. That was the year I won it all. And they're gonna be like, just
Yeah. You'll be telling that story to the grandkids, and then your own children will be like,
yeah, they're gonna be like, oh wow,
That's
he's losing it. He's losing it. Like, no, he was saying this when he was like 27 too. So
yeah, it's
fine.
okay. It's the delusion started early. It's okay. Let him
Yeah.
have it.
There's his. You can just go check on his podcast. He was saying it was like a Final Four ring back in like 2021. I don't know. He doesn't even have Alzheimer's. He's just weird.
2020 did a number on him, and he just kind of forgot things and added parts of the story that weren't
Yeah.
there and whatnot.
Just didn't actually.
Yeah.
The things that didn't add up, he just made his own story.
Well, like that's the thing. Like 2020 had like blank pages at the end, so he just filled them in on his own. Like
Exactly.
You can't say you're wrong because no one got to prove you wrong. So just like, I'm just gonna fill these blanks in how I thought it was gonna end.
That's why I can say that's why it's fun. I'm like, no, we would have been in the Final Four easily. I think we would have been last year. We would have been in the Final Four.
Yeah, like because who can tell you that's not you're not factually wrong. You're just like if we're about fact, like, you can't say you wouldn't have made it. Like how do you know we were good?
No one can say that.
Yeah, it's like well you didn't have Marcus. I know, yeah, that would have sucked, but Jet,
I would have stepped in.
You guys saw Jet in that first half, right? We've been fine.
Yeah.
Jet
and I had a
Jet
yeah,
Reef,
and Max said he was
Reef. Where did Reef? Whose pocket did Reef pick? Like, dude, like wasn't someone was trying to break him down off the dribble, like that Anderson kid or whatever? Yeah, he's just like, give me this.
Yeah.
And then Jet was popping threes. Like, we're good. We'll be fine.
See, you're writing the narrative now.
Yeah,
you just wrote it. Like,
yeah, just rolled.
That was what I was gonna say anyway.
You can just run with that. That's all. We're all good. Would have been Final Four.
Yeah, man. But I'm excited.
Yeah.
Scurry in the Scrub live episode coming soon.
Did we say when have you got your first shot yet? Have you told people yet?
Nope.
When you
to the people, I am getting the Johnson & Johnson shot at 10:30 Saturday morning.
You're going one and done.
You're one and done, baby. One and done.
You got done talking about these players need to commit to, the grind. You're going one and done on it, huh?
One and done. One and done.
Okay, straight to the pros. Okay, I got you.
I just don't. I should give the real reason before I just say I want the one and done because I'm trying to be efficient. The real reason I actually am getting the Johnson & Johnson is that weirdly enough, I have weird allergic reactions all the time, just like seasonal and to like some food sometimes, just weird. Like even I think it was right in like it was cold, so it was in January. I had a really bad like allergic reaction where my lips and
we had to scrap a pod because of it.
Scrap a pod because of this, and I had a terrible allergic reaction, and so I talked to my doctor, and they are like, you should get the one and done because they don't want like me to take like the one Moderna and say or Pfizer and then say something like happens, and then they have to like do tests and like in the middle to like do all that, and I don't want to have to be taking a bunch of time out of work if that stuff happens. So they're like, just get the one and done. So my doctor recommended it is the real answer.
Okay.
But I also am just trying to get one and done because I'm lazy and I don't want to go back.
I don't want two shots. Like I just want one. Yeah.
I just want the one.
Yeah. So when are you getting it?
Saturday morning, 10:30.
Okay. Nice.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Very excited.
So
and I'm getting paid for it through my job. My job is paying me for getting it. So like getting a smooth $100.
$100 to get a one and done? Man, you made the right decision.
They usually give you like 50 and 50 if you get the two.
Okay. I like it.
So
yeah. So this Saturday, so 2 weeks from this Saturday, that'll be like right around the time I get my second one, maybe. Yeah. So you'll be free and clear the 24th to go act a fool. Probably still have to wear a mask though, because I don't know how that's
definitely. You can still give it off. You can still get it off.
Especially with the Johnson & Johnson one too. Like you're taking the shortcut.
Yeah, it's the diet vaccine, so I don't know if it'll be. I don't know if it's gonna fully work, but
yeah,
I haven't got
at least you won't. At least you won't die from COVID. Like you'll be good. Like yeah. So
knock on wood, man. You know I'm superstitious.
oh, sorry about that. Yeah, you got the wood desk. You're good. Knock on it. Yeah. So we're gonna have to like have a celebration podcast where we just like
Yeah,
do nothing.
it's gonna have to be like a great nonsense episode.
I'm just gonna hit you up on Zoom and like walk around the world with my phone.
Walk around where?
The world, just like the world.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We'll have to do offsite episodes because we can finally be free.
100%. Yeah, that's the way we're gonna do it. All right, everybody. This was Scurry in the Scrub episode 1000 or something. I don't know. Not really. We haven't been there yet.
We're getting up there.
We're climbing. Slow and steady is the climb. Yeah, we'll start doing these more regularly though because we got more stuff to talk about and less things to watch. So we gotta.
We'll be on it. We'll have more fun things to talk about. If you guys are listening in, please just give us some topics if you want to hear us rant about them. Like we'd love to touch on anything. So I'm with whatever.
That's awkward phrasing, but yeah, I'm with the general vibe of that we were fine with.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we'll cut that one out. It's all right. We'll cut that one out. Sorry.
All right, everybody. Have a good week.